The Veltraxan homeworld shimmered beneath the twin suns, its sprawling cities alive with advanced technology and proud warriors. For centuries, the Veltraxans had thrived as a dominant species in this part of the galaxy. But today, an urgent message crackled through the void, a distress signal unlike any before. Commander. Ralkesh stood rigid on the command deck of the Harbinger, the flagship of the Veltraxan fleet. His amber eyes flicked over the data streams that flooded the displays. Entire colonies had fallen within days. The enemy, a relentless and savage force known only as the Swarm, had torn through defenses with terrifying speed and brutality. Ralkesh's voice was steady as he addressed the fleet's officers. We are outmatched. Our resources dwindle. We must call for aid. The distress call, encoded in the universal language of the Coalition, was sent to every allied race within range. It carried a plea for immediate reinforcements, an admission that the Veltraxans could no longer hold the front lines alone. Among the races receiving the call was humanity, a species still new to interstellar politics, but rapidly earning a reputation for unpredictability and fierce resolve. The human flagship Resolute altered course, its sleek frames slicing through the darkness toward the war-torn system. Captain Marissa Chen stood on the Resolute's bridge, reviewing the data sent by the Veltraxans. She sensed the gravity of the situation. This isn't just a simple raid, she said. It's a full-scale invasion that's overwhelming their defenses. Her officers exchanged uneasy glances. The reports described creatures that defied known biology, endless swarms of bioengineered horrors, capable of rapid regeneration and adapting to every tactic. Whatever this enemy is, Chen continued, we need to be ready for anything. As the human fleet jumped into the system, the Veltraxan commanders met them with a mixture of hope and skepticism. These newcomers fought with a style unfamiliar to the Coalition: rapid maneuvers, close cooperation with local forces, and an uncanny ability to adapt in real time. Ralkesh observed the humans with cautious respect. Their approach is chaotic, but effective, he admitted. Perhaps they hold the key to turning the tide. The first engagements were brutal. The Swarm attacked without mercy, their numbers overwhelming, their presence a nightmare of katanas, limbs, and acidic venom. Yet, the human-led forces pushed back with a combination of technology and sheer determination that surprised the Veltrax. Captain Chen watched a skirmish unfold on a nearby moon. Human squads moved like shadows, striking swiftly, then melting away before the Swarm could respond. Drones buzzed overhead, providing reconnaissance and precise fire support. They fight like nothing I've seen, one Veltraxan officer murmured. But the Swarm was relentless. Every victory felt fragile. Every advance met with new waves of enemies. The Coalition's lines strained under the pressure. In a makeshift command tent on the ground, Lieutenant Alina Morales coordinated with Veltraxan scouts. They learn. Quickly, Morales said grimly. Every time we find a weakness, they adapt. Ralkesh nodded. This is not an enemy we can defeat by force alone. Back on the Resolute, Chen convened a council with her senior officers. We need to understand our enemy better, she said. We have to find a way to outthink them, not just outgun them. The distress signal that had once seemed like a call for help was now a rallying cry. Humanity's arrival marked the beginning of a desperate fight, but also the first glimmer of hope for a galaxy facing a terrifying new threat as the Resolute and the Veltraxan fleet prepared for the battles ahead. Neither could predict the arrival of an ancient force, one that would change everything. The first Allied reinforcements arrived like a tide rolling over a storm-battered shore, high-tech, precise, and cautious. Fleets from several Coalition species poured into the system, each bringing their unique weapons and tactics. Yet it was humanity's fleet that drew the most attention. Captain Marissa Chen's Resolute led the human contingent. Its sleek hull, cutting through the blackness of space. Their technology was advanced but unorthodox, combining agility with relentless persistence. Unlike the Veltraxans, who favored overwhelming firepower and rigid formations, humans adapted on the fly. On the bridge of the Harbinger, Commander Ralkesh observed the newcomers closely. "Their methods are unpredictable," he said to his officers. "They strike where the enemy least expects." The Veltraxans had suffered greatly. Entire colonies were reduced to ashes, their defenders overwhelmed by the bioengineered nightmare, known simply as the Swarm. But with the arrival of the Coalition's reinforcements, a new hope stirred. Lieutenant Alina Morales led a mixed unit of humans and Veltraxan scouts in a reconnaissance mission on the outskirts of a recently liberated colony. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of scorched earth. But their focus remained sharp. "They're organizing for another strike," Morales reported overcomes. "Swarm numbers are still enormous, but their coordination seems weaker." Morales crouched behind a fallen statue, observing a swarm cluster gathering near a ravaged communication tower. "If we can take out their command nodes, we might disrupt their attacks," she suggested. Back aboard the resolute Captain Chen and her tactical officers pored over sensor data, looking for vulnerabilities in the enemy's swarm patterns. The swarm was relentless, adapting quickly to every new tactic. But patterns emerged in their movements, rhythms, and weaknesses the humans could exploit. "We're dealing with an enemy that learns," Chen said. "Our advantage is our creativity. We have to stay one step ahead." Across the Coalition, skepticism mingled with admiration for the humans' tenacity. Other species, accustomed to more traditional warfare, watched as humans deployed unpredictable guerrilla strikes and leveraged environmental hazards with uncanny skill. Meanwhile, the swarm continued to evolve. On a distant asteroid, scientists working with the Coalition studied samples of the creatures. Their bioengineered physiology was unlike anything cataloged before, a blend of organic and synthetic, capable of rapid mutation. "This is no natural species," one researcher noted. "They're a weapon created and controlled by an unknown force." As the battle raged, the Veltraxans and their allies faced mounting pressure. Supply lines were stretched thin, casualties rising, morale wavering. Yet, the humans refused to falter. Captain Chen authorized a bold plan. A strike team would infiltrate a key swarm staging ground, planting explosives and gathering intelligence. The mission was dangerous, but essential. Lieutenant Morales volunteered. "To lead, if we can cripple their supply network, it will give us the breathing room we need." The team moved under the cover of darkness, navigating ruined tunnels and acidic pools. Swarm sentries patrolled relentlessly, but Morales' squad used stealth traps and quick strikes to avoid detection. At the heart of the enemy's lair, Morales' team discovered a shocking secret: a massive, hive-like structure pulsing with energy and housing countless larval creatures. "We need to get this data back," Morales whispered, "and blow this place to hell." As explosives detonated, the team made a desperate escape, fighting through waves of swarm defenders. The blast shattered the hive, sending shockwaves through the enemy's front lines. Back on the resolute, Chen watched the explosion with a grim smile. "That was only the beginning," she said. But even as the Allies gained ground, a deeper danger loomed, a presence in the darkness that neither humans nor Veltraxans had anticipated. The battlefield was about to change forever. The battle-scarred landscape of the Veralia system grew quieter in some places, but the terror had only deepened. The swarm was not simply a relentless enemy, was a living nightmare that seemed to defy the laws of biology and warfare. On the bridge of the Harbinger, Commander Ralkesh stared at the fluctuating sensor readings. "They evolve faster than we can predict," he muttered. "Our weapons barely slow them now." Captain Marissa Chen leaned forward, her eyes sharp. We've seen the pattern, they adapt. Every tactic we use against them is turned back on us. Across the coalition fleets, new weapons were deployed. From plasma turrets to nanite swarms, designed to disrupt the swarm's regenerative cells. Yet every advantage gained was temporary. The swarm mutated, growing tougher and more cunning. On the ground, Lieutenant Alina Morales and her squad faced horrors that tested even their hardened resolve. The alien creatures in this battle did not fight like any enemy they had known. They were swift, brutal, and terrifyingly intelligent. As Morales' team secured a forward base on the outskirts of a devastated city, an urgent transmission arrived. From scouts near the asteroid belt, Commander. The scout leader's voice crackled over comms. We've detected massive movement beyond the belt. Something ... different. Larger. Older. Morales exchanged a glance with her team. What kind of movement? Not like the swarm. These are massive beasts, not bioengineered. They seem ... natural, but enormous. They're heading toward the conflict zone. On the resolute Chen's eyes narrowed. True beasts, she whispered. The stories told in human legends spoke of ancient creatures, colossal, primal beings that had once ruled the stars. They were thought to be myths, yet now they approached. Veltraxan historians. And scientists scrambled to match this new information. These creatures were not just animals. They possessed a form of sentience and a powerful presence that unsettled even the most battle-hardened officers. The swarm seemed to react to the beasts, momentarily retreating and dispersing as the colossal forms drew closer. The coalition commanders debated, should we attempt communication or prepare to fight them? Ralkesh asked. Chen's voice was steady. We don't understand them yet. Can't afford to waste resources fighting potential allies or worse enemies. Meanwhile, on the surface, Morales' squad witnessed the arrival firsthand. Towering figures broke through the horizon, massive creatures covered in thick, armored hides, with eyes that gleamed with ancient wisdom and fury. The beasts moved with deliberate power, their steps shaking the ground. They paid no heed to the terrified remnants of the swarm, instead focusing on the coalition forces. A tense standoff unfolded. The coalition soldiers braced for a fight, but the beasts showed no immediate aggression. Morales lowered her weapon. They're watching us. Back in space, Chen ordered her science team to analyze the beasts' energy signatures. Their biology is unlike anything we've seen, old, primal, but with a strange resonance that could be linked to the galaxy's natural energy flows. As communication experts attempted to send non-threatening signals, the beasts responded with a series of deep, resonant sounds that vibrated through the ships and the uneasy silence that followed. It became clear the beasts were not enemies, they were ancient guardians responding to the presence of the swarm. A force that threatened the galaxy's balance. Captain Chen made a decision. We'll try to communicate. They're here too. Stop the swarm. We should welcome their aid. The coalition's focus shifted from desperation to cautious hope. The arrival of the true beasts was a game-changer, an unpredictable wild card that could turn the tide of war. As the swarm regrouped, unaware of the new alliance forming against it, the galaxy held its breath. The war was about to enter a new Phase 1, where ancient power and human ingenuity might be the key to survival. The massive beasts lingered at the edge of the battlefield, their immense forms casting long shadows over the shattered terrain. The coalition force, humans, Veltraxans, and others, watched with cautious anticipation. Neither side made a move to attack. A silent understanding hanging in the air, Captain Marissa Chen stepped forward, determined to break the stalemate. Using a specially designed translator, the Resolute sent a series of carefully crafted signals, vibrations, sounds, and patterns intended to mimic the beast's resonant calls. On the ground, Lieutenant Elena Morales observed the beasts' reactions. Their deep, guttural responses seemed to indicate recognition and, possibly, willingness to communicate. After hours of tense exchanges, the atmosphere shifted. One of the colossal beasts, a towering figure covered in dense, mottled armor-like scales, moved closer to Morales's position. Its eyes, vast and intelligent, locked with hers. Radiating an ancient wisdom, Morales felt a strange calm wash over her, as if the creature could see beyond language and into the heart of her resolve. Slowly, she lowered her weapon, a gesture mirrored by her squad. Back aboard, the resolute scientists worked feverishly to analyze the beast's biosignatures. Dr. Kalin reported to Captain Chen. These creatures possess a form of sentience combined with a primal instinct. They've survived countless ages by maintaining balance in the galaxy's ecosystems. The swarm represents an unnatural threat, one that disrupts this balance. Ralkesh nodded thoughtfully. If we can forge an alliance, their power combined with our technology might turn the tide. The decision was made. Humans and Veltraxans would approach the beasts cautiously, offering aid and partnership rather than command. The first human envoy landed near the beasts' gathering, carrying gifts and technological aids designed to show respect without threatening their autonomy. The beasts accepted the gifts, their massive heads nodding slowly. Through a combination of signals and shared presence, the alliance was born, an uneasy partnership of ancient force and modern innovation. Captain Chen addressed the coalition fleet over the comms, her voice steady. We face an enemy unlike any before. Alone, none of us can withstand the swarm. Together with the true beasts, we have a chance. The beasts demonstrated their strength quickly. In the following days, they tore through swarm lines with devastating efficiency. Their massive claws crushed bioengineered armor, and their roar sent shockwaves that shattered enemy ranks. Yet, their power came with challenges. The beasts' instincts sometimes conflicted with the coalition's tactical plans. They favored overwhelming force over subtlety, and their territorial nature meant coordination was difficult. Lieutenant Morales worked closely with the beasts, learning to interpret their gestures and moods. They're like a force of nature, she explained. You don't command the storm, you learn to move with it. Despite the difficulties, the coalition's combined strength began to push the swarm back. Human ingenuity and Veltraxan discipline complemented the beast's raw power, forming a new strategy that confused and overwhelmed the enemy as the war intensified. Stories spread among the troops of the beast's legendary feats, rushing entire swarm battalions single-handedly, rescuing allied squads from ambushes, and even protecting civilians caught in the crossfire. For the first time, hope blossomed. The galaxy watched as humanity and ancient powers forged an alliance that might save countless worlds. But even as victories mounted, Captain Chen knew the war was far from over. The swarm would not yield easily, and darker threats lurked beyond. The battlefield, the uneasy alliance, was fragile, and its future uncertain. The alliance between humans, Veltraxans, and the true beasts was still fragile. But the war demanded action. The swarm had lost ground, but it was far from defeated. Its resilience and adaptability had already crushed entire worlds, and now it faced a new, unpredictable coalition. Captain Marisa Chen stood on the Resolute's command deck, watching the tactical displays flicker with real-time movements. The combined fleets prepared to launch a decisive counterstrike aimed at severing the swarm's supply lines and breaking their hold on key systems. This is our chance, Chen said to her officers. We strike deep into their territory. Number, hesitation, no mercy. Lieutenant Elena Morales led a ground assault team tasked with disabling a swarm command center on the industrial moon, Drayden Prime. This facility was critically coordinated, the swarm's reinforcements, and controlled. Vast biofactories producing new creatures. The mission was dangerous. Morales' team faced not only the relentless swarm, but also the unknown challenges of the environment-acidic fog, stable terrain, and bioelectric storms. Meanwhile, the true beasts prepared to unleash their fury. Their colossal forms gathered in the orbital space above Drayden Prime, ready to shatter enemy fleets and defenses with brute force. As the Resolute and allied ships launched coordinated attacks, the beasts descended upon the surface. Their earth-shaking roars echoed through the mountains, scattering swarm troops and collapsing hive structures with terrifying power. Morales' squad advanced through twisted corridors filled with the remnants of failed defenses and organic growths that pulsed like living machines. They planted explosives at key nodes while fending off waves of swarm creatures. The team's success hinged on precise timing. The explosions had to coincide with the beast's ground assault and the fleet's orbital bombardment to maximize disruption. Despite setbacks, including close calls and unexpected ambushes, Morales' squad completed their objective. As the charges detonated, a shockwave rippled through the enemy's infrastructure, severing communications and halting reinforcements. Back on the Resolute, Chen's voice crackled over comms. "Good work, Morales. This is the turning point." The swarm's response was furious and desperate. They unleashed a new generation of creatures, larger, faster, and more aggressive. The Coalition's forces were pushed to their limits as the battle escalated, yet the true beasts adapted with uncanny speed. They fought with a primal intelligence, learning enemy tactics and exploiting weaknesses in real time. Morales found herself alongside one of the beasts in a fierce firefight. Their cooperation was instinctive. The beast's massive claws tore through enemies, while Morales provided precision cover fire. This unity symbolized the Coalition's strength. Ancient power fused with human ingenuity and allied discipline. The counterstrike shattered the swarm's command network and crippled their production capabilities. The momentum shifted decisively in the Coalition's favor. Captain Chen allowed herself a rare moment of optimism. "We're not just surviving, we're winning." But the victory came at a cost. The true beasts, despite their power, were not invincible. Several had sustained injuries, and their numbers were limited. Ralkesh approached Chen with a grim expression. "We owe them our lives, but they cannot fight this war alone." The Coalition commanders began planning for the next phase, strengthening the alliance, deepening trust, and preparing for the inevitable final confrontation in the shadows of the galaxy. The swarm's creator watched, silent and calculating. The war was far from over. The war against the swarm had turned into a brutal contest of survival, but beneath the chaos, a deeper mystery began to unravel. The arrival of the true beasts was no accident, and their connection to the galaxy ran far deeper than anyone had imagined. On the Resolute, Captain Marissa Chen reviewed new intelligence gathered from a recently captured swarm outpost. Lieutenant Elena Morales joined her, bearing data retrieved from the hive ruins on Drayden Prime. "Captain, this isn't just a bioengineered army," Morales said. "These creatures were designed for one purpose: to clear the way for something else." Chen frowned. "Something else?" Morales pointed to an image on the display. Strange symbols and technology buried beneath the swarm's hive structures. "This tech doesn't match any known civilization. It's ancient, but far more advanced than anything in the Coalition's database." Meanwhile, scientists aboard the Harbinger worked with Veltraxan archaeologists to decode similar artifacts found in the war zone. Their discoveries hinted at a long-lost race, one that had vanished millennia ago but left behind powerful constructs scattered across the galaxy. Ralkesh shared the findings with Chen. "The swarm may be the weapon of this ancient race, or worse, the guardians of their secrets." The pieces began to fit together. The swarm was not merely a random threat, but a deliberate tool engineered to suppress or destroy any who threatened these forgotten legacies. Chen's mind raced. If the swarm is protecting something, then the true beasts might be the galaxies. Natural defense evolved to counterbalance this threat. The uneasy alliance took on new meaning. The ancient creatures were not just warriors, they were guardians, awakened to face a cosmic danger that had lain dormant for ages. As this realization spread through the coalition, plans shifted. The fight against the swarm was also a race too. Uncover the truth behind the ancient race and their hidden power. Morales led a specialized team to a newly discovered Ceta, massive underground facility guarded by biomechanical sentinels and lethal traps. The mission was perilous, but the potential rewards were immense. Unlocking the secrets of this facility could provide the coalition with the key to defeating the swarm once and for all. As Morales' team delved deeper, they encountered holographic records left by the ancient race. These messages spoke of a galaxy on the brink of collapse, a war against a dark force that threatened all life. The ancients had created the swarm as a weapon, but lost control, forcing the true beasts to rise and restore balance. One message warned: the cycle returns. The darkness stirs. Only unity can break the chains. Back on the Resolute, Chen absorbed the implications. This war is part of a cycle, older than any of us. We are the latest generation called to face it. Aralkesh's voice was steady. If we can harness this knowledge and strengthen our alliance, we may not only survive, we can change the galaxy's fate. The stakes had never been higher. The coalition faced not only an enemy army, but the weight of history itself. And somewhere in the far reaches of space, the true architect of the swarm prepared its next move. The weight of ancient history bore down on the coalition like a storm. Every victory gained came with new revelations, more daunting than the last. The swarm was no mere enemy. It was a manifestation of an ancient cycle of destruction and rebirth. Captain Marissa Chen stood on the bridge of the Resolute, eyes fixed on the holomap of the galaxy. Swarm forces had begun to consolidate around a massive, mysterious structure deep within the Cauldrus Nebula, place the ancients called the Heart of Darkness. Everything we've uncovered points here, Chen said quietly. This is where the final battle will be fought. Commander Ralkesh nodded. The swarm's creator resides there, controlling the tide of this war. If we destroy it, we end the cycle. But the mission was daunting. The Cauldrus Nebula was a swirling mass of dark energy and cosmic storms. A natural fortress that even the true beasts hesitated to enter. Lieutenant Alina Morales and her team prepared for their role in the final assault. They would infiltrate the structure, aiming to disable its core and sever the swarm's control. The true beasts gathered once more. Their presence a powerful symbol of the coalition's strength and unity. They were battle-worn but fierce, ready to unleash their fury against the ancient enemy. Human engineers worked with Veltraxin, biotechnicians to develop new weapons hybrid technology, blending primal beast strength with advanced human tech. Ken addressed the coalition fleet. This will be our greatest challenge. But we fight not just for survival, but for the future of every world. As preparations neared completion, a tense calm settled. The galaxy held its breath, aware that the coming battle would decide the fate of all. In the quiet before the storm, Morales reviewed the mission plans one last time. We go in fast, strike hard, and get out before they realize what hit them. She looked toward the true beasts standing nearby. We fight together. Akana said turn to the price of victory. This war has changed us, but it has also shown what we can accomplish when we stand united. The fleet launched into the Cauldrus Nebula, the swirling darkness closing around them like the jaws of a beast. As they approached the Heart of Darkness, Sensor readings spiked with energy surges and unknown signals. The swarm's final stronghold awaited the Resolute, and its allied fleet plunged into the heart of the Caltris Nebula, the swirling mists of dark energy obscuring their sensors and complicating navigation. Captain Marissa Chen gripped the command console, our gaze steady, but mind sharp. Knowing the battle ahead would define the fate of the galaxy, the heart of darkness is ahead, she announced. Prepare for full assault. All units, stay alert, warm. Defenses will be unlike anything we've faced. Commander Ralkesh coordinated the battle stations, his voice calm despite the tension. True Beasts, position yourselves for the initial strike. Morales, your team will lead the ground assault once we breach their outer defenses. The True Beasts surged forward first, their massive forms cutting through the swarm of organic turrets and creatures defending the stronghold. Their roars echoed through space and ground alike, shaking enemy ranks and clearing a path for the Coalition's ships. Morales and her squad deployed from the drop pods, crashing onto the rocky surface near the control center. The structure was a dark monolith, pulsing with unnatural energy down inside. The atmosphere was thick with biomechanical life, walls alive with shifting tendrils and glowing veins. The team advanced carefully, disabling traps and fighting off relentless swarm defenders. Deeper within, Morales discovered the Cora massive organic crystal pulsating with energy. It was the heart of the swarm's control, the source of their hive mind. Plant the charges, Morales ordered. We take this down and end the war. Outside, the space battle raged. The Coalition fleet engaged the swarm's flagship, a grotesque, living vessel that adapted instantly to every weapon fired. Captain Chen coordinated every move, using the hybrid tech developed with the True Beasts to exploit weaknesses the swarm hadn't anticipated. The tide turned as the beasts unleashed a devastating assault on the flagship's hull, allowing Coalition fighters to penetrate and cripple its systems. Back inside the stronghold, Morales' team fought through waves of defenders, racing against time as the charges beeped down to detonation. With a final burst of energy, Morales triggered the explosives. The crystal shattered, sending a shockwave through the hive and severing the swarm's hive mind. The swarm's cohesion fractured, their forces descending into chaos and retreat. The True Beasts let out a triumphant roar that reverberated across the battlefield. Captain Chen breathed deeply, relief and exhaustion mingling. The cycle is broken. The galaxy survivors began to rebuild, worlds once lost to fear and war slowly healing. The alliance between humans, Beltraxans, and the True Beasts endured, a reminder that strength lies in unity and respect for the ancient powers of the cosmos. As the stars shone brighter over the Caltris Nebula, humanity's place in the galaxy was forever changed, no longer just survivors, but guardians of peace and hope.